guys, good afternoon. It's RG here and welcome to Work It Wednesday. Today we're going to do a little bit more mixed media and I think it's going to become our norm where we're going to do mixed media on Wednesdays. So I'm a little excited about this. I actually started the process a little bit earlier on in the day because modeling paste takes a little bit to dry. So let's go ahead and switch over to that top view so that we can see what we're going to be working with today. Today I'm going to be using Dive Deep. I absolutely love this set, and of course summer has arrived in AC, super hot. And I'm also using the Scalloped Layers stencil. So I'm going to be using both of these pieces to create a fun Dive Deep background for my mermaid. So first things first, I've already added modeling paste with my stencil to my background. So you guys all know how to do that. I basically place my stencil, I grab some of my modeling paste, I layered it on with a spatula, and I just smoothed it out, then remove that stencil, and here we are. So this part is actually already dry for us to be able to work some color in. I'm gonna go ahead and choose some sugar drops that are gonna give me a little bit of that ocean vibe, okay? So I'm gonna use some tangy apple, some tangy gum, maybe a little bit of rich cactus, and a little bit of sweet blue. These are some of my greens and my turquoises. Maybe even some sour mist. Let me grab some of that. I don't have that, yeah. I'm also grabbing a little bit of sour guava because I think it'll be nice to add a little bit of that color in there. But I'm going to grab some of my media mixer, and I'm also going to move this guy because I'm going to do a little bit of a mess here. I'm going to grab some of my media mixer, and I'm just going to add some directly to my paper. Now this one already has it's a little clogged. The modeling paste already dry for us to be able to use. Let me just unclog this real quick. There we go. So I'm going to add 4 different drops of media mixer.
So we have Linda Gorman, Miss Gail.
Hi, Linda. Hi, guys. Thanks for joining me. Sorry for the delay.
Bernice says, who's in the studio with you today?
Oh, in the studio with me today is David, who's running the back of the show. I'm going to add just one little drop of that sweet blue. And we also have Miss G, of course.
And then Miss Gail says, OMG, I just moved the video to my TV. Super cool.
So cool to see that. Oh.
So you're on TV.
I'm on TV. Look, Mom, I'm on
TV. You made it to the big screen.
All right. So you'll notice that I add a drop of sour guava. First, I added some media mixer. Should I zoom in a little bit more? Are you guys okay? I added some media mixer, 4 drops of media mixer, and then right on top of the drops of media mixer, I added a drop of sour guava, a drop of tangy gum, sweet blue, and tangy apple sugar drops. I'm going to leave the rich cactus for later. But now that I've got that, I'm going to go ahead and blend that color right on top of that. And I'm not looking for any particular rhyme or reason. I'm just looking to add that burst of color within that space. So check it out. It just creates a cool, this one's also blue, so I'm just gonna bring in that lighter blue. And I'm gonna clean off that blue so I can bring in that green. I just want a super cool. Now I'm gonna do a little spritzing of water to help kind of move those colors around. All right, it'll just help move these colors around a little bit. And I don't want them to become mud, and I don't want them to be too intense on the one side or the next. And now I'm gonna bring in some more of that green because remember I want it to be kind of like my mermaid fin. And I've got all these beautiful colors. Can you guys see those? The blues and the reds, the greens. And I'm gonna go ahead and let that dry before we add any more to it. And so while that's drying, I'm gonna go ahead and grab my mermaid. I'm gonna grab my Stamparatus because I'm going to stamp my big beautiful mermaid here from Dive Deep on a piece of powdered sugar. And I absolutely love this mermaid set because it's a little bit of a boho mermaid set. So I'm gonna grab the mermaid. I'm also gonna grab the starfish and the shell to add as little extras on there. And I also need the sentiment, okay? So remember, we're letting our other piece dry here on the side. It's got a little bit of oversaturation of water, as well as, of course, our color. So we're gonna go ahead and ink this up using some black taffy. How's everybody today? Thanks for joining us, guys, for the lives. It means the world to me that we're all here and connected and creating. I'm gonna do a couple more. I want a really dark impression. Press a little bit more here. That's about right, but I'm gonna do one more just in case. All right, I will need to stamp my sentiment again, but for now this will do. Oops. Alrighty. I also love that there's a beautiful seahorse in that boho mermaid set. And it is a little bit more adulty. It's not like a kiddish mermaid set, but that's okay. Not everything has to be.
I love that it's a boho mermaid.
Yeah, it's super cute.
Cool. Bernice says, how warm is it in AZ today?
It is in the hundreds.
It's hot. Cindy Becker says, thank you for doing the lives for us. Love them.
Good. I'm glad to hear that, Cindy.
Miss Gail says, 82 degrees here in Virginia today. Cooler and more rain tomorrow. Sandra Cruz, hello, just jumped on.
Hi, Sandra.
Everyone is having a wonderful day. It is a wonderful hot day.
It is pretty hot, that is for sure.
And 80 degrees in North Carolina, I think? Or Cali?
Really?
Bernice, I don't know where you're at. Carolina or
Yeah.
California?
No, she's not in
Okay.
California.
Because she put more cow.
Yeah.
So I'm like, yeah, we did see the news today. It was warming up everywhere. So all across the U.S.
Yeah, it's heating up for sure. All right. So now we have our beautiful background. Colors are somewhat, for the most part, dry. And we're going to come in here and add a few more colors. But these are going to be a little bit darker. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to marry my project here. I'm just going to remove some of the sticky so that it doesn't keep it forever. And I'm going to marry my stencil right back to that piece. And it doesn't have to be 100%. It just, as long as it holds onto your paper a little bit. I'm going to bring in some tape. Just because I want to add a different wave of color to this. So I'm gonna, first things first, I'm gonna go ahead and grab some of my media mixer. I'm gonna create a little palette on my grid sheet. This one is gonna be using Rich Cactus, so definitely a darker green. I'm just going to mix in that color. And while it's on there, I'm just going to go ahead and bring that in. No particular way. I'm just bringing in that color, okay? So just, and it's okay if it doesn't stay at 100%. Ultimately, what we're looking to do is we're looking to just bring in some color. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab some of that tangy gum and I'm going to place it right on top of that, even though I'm not necessarily mixing it in. I just want straight blue from the tangy apple color burst right over that. Alrighty, we're going to remove that stencil. So it just gives us a little bit more color add on. So cool. But we're also going to spritz this with a little bit of water because we want there to be a little bit of a blend, a little bit of a bleed, even though we're letting it sit for just a second so that it's not too intense of a bleed. We are also just kind of playing with color, playing with sugar at this particular moment to create a beautiful background for our mermaid once she's ready to go on there. So we're going to bring in a burst of a burst of water. And it's going to create a little bit of a bleed. But we want that bleed, okay? And if you're daring enough, you can go in and with your finger, move that color. Just tap it. Just tap that color through. And again, it's going to show up the fact that we added it with our stencil on top of it allows us to keep some color saturation. But check out how beautiful that mermaid background is coming out. We're going to add a little bit of black, so don't freak out. Just a little bit of black. As a matter of fact, I'm going to do it now, okay? So I'm going to grab some of that black and I'm going to splatter that black on top of my color. While it's still wet, it's going to bleed a little bit more. But that's it. I want it to just bleed a little bit with that color fusion in the background because I'm going to actually splatter white when we're done with our project instead of black. So it just kind of gives me some depth, some definition. Do you guys see that? All right, we're just going to let that dry while we color our beautiful mermaid. And I've picked out a few Copics here for this. Now, I actually already have one colored and cut out because I thought I was going to spend more time on my background. Well, since I'm spending more time on my background, I definitely don't want to take all of your day just coloring and painting this background.
So Andrea is here
There's
with us.
so
She
many
came in a
here.
little late. And I was asking if what was on your background other than ink and paper. So we used the media mixer, some sugar drops, and you did use the stencil.
Correct. I did use the media mixer, the stencil. It's what creates the waves. I used the scallop layers. Looks like this. Scallop layer stencil. Okay, so now I'm going to come in and I'm going to add dots to her tail. We kind of wanted to mimic our background a little bit. Guys, for those of you who don't know, I want to make sure that we're not creating any confusion. I have multiple social media channels, and it is by design that I have them. It's because I have different outlets for different content. So I just want to make sure that everybody's on the same page because I don't want to create confusion for you guys. I know sometimes it's easy to get confused or like, wait, what channel does what? And so, of course, our YouTube here for Art Team Richard Gray is always going to be craft and stamp related. And I do like to leave a few white areas, guys, because I think it looks really good. That's just kind of me. I'm also not, I don't color to blend. I color to add color. So just FYI, if it's your first time watching me, I don't consider myself a colorer, but I do love to add pops of color to my projects. So you'll catch on.
Which is a different way of coloring.
Different way of coloring for sure.
Still looks beautiful.
I just love to incorporate splashes of color, but I also love to leave little peaks of white. I don't want it to be completely covered. That's not my thing. And I know it could be a lot of people's thing. It's just not my thing. I love when there's a little bit of white peeking through because it just gives a little bit of a glare, in my opinion. And I just love the way it comes through. So I'm adding a little bit of color, and I definitely come back with a little bit of white pieces to that. All right, I found this super cool Copic that has like a little bit of a dirty blonde look to her hair, and so I don't want it to be like super yellow. Oftentimes when I see people's coloring, they make their hair super yellow, and I love how this one is a little mixture of the two. And again, I love to see that white coming through. How does it look so far?
Beautiful. Gorgeous, gorgeous. Andrea's like, what a fun mermaid.
Yeah, she's an absolutely beautiful set. And you know which part I love the most too is I love the seahorse. Oh my gosh, I love that seahorse. It's like long and it's full of the flowers and the blooms. Oh, and the anchor. Oh, so amazing. So yeah, I love them. I love them all. We're gonna add a little bit of green to all of the boho elements around her. And sometimes I just add like adding little touches of green next to the blooms. I think it just fills in color beautifully. Gorgeous. All right. So then you're going to cut it all out. And by the magic of television, ta-da!
Wow.
I have cut it out.
Cut it out. You're so silly.
Because I know me, I like to go psycho killer on the coloring, on the cutting, and
David's like, oh gosh.
you guys are gonna be like, oh my god, I like to cut every little hair strand.
So Linda Gorman, what's the number of the Copic for her hair that you used?
Oh, I used Y26. I love it because I feel like it's more of a natural hair color type of color. And I also, you'll notice that I left a lot of the white streaks too, because I feel like I love the depth that it gives my project. But there's also lots of depth when people do blending with their markers. I'm not a big fan. But there's some amazing artists out there that do some amazing work. But check it out. Can you see that? See how we left some white? Oh, it just looks so good. It looks like she's swimming in the ocean. All right. Oops. We're going to go ahead and help this guy along the way. Oh, you know what? I was going to add a little bit of that tissue from shipping. The blue one. Perfect. We're going to spritz it with a little bit of water. And I'm just wanting to blend in my black a little bit and pick up some of my darker tones. While also trying to reveal some of the white background. You see that? Now I'm going to wipe off some of the areas. And it just creates such a cool background, I think, for our mermaid.
Cindy Becker says, I'm so happy you bring out your older sets. So many great sets. We forget that amazing one we have put away. So true.
It's so true, yeah. And I love that about this particular project because I like to dig deep. I actually love to dig deep to some of my original sets because obviously many of you have invested in them. And it's just great to have and to bring to life a little differently. I don't want to get rid of all of my background, but I'm going to bring in a little bit of tissue. And I've been in the, I've been playing with tissue quite a bit lately. Because I've seen it, it's kind of like a trending thing. And I love how some of the layers are being used. I just would use them a little differently. So what I did was I crinkled up my tissue quite a bit. And I'm adding liquid glue to the mix. I'm also going to add a bit of our media mixer. And it's going to bleed the tissue color. So again, it's just kind of like I keep working and working and working and working and working that surface. And that's kind of what mixed media is you just keep working and working and working the surface until you get ultimately, sometimes it just feels silly because you end up losing some of the colors that you have. but I think it's what I love the most about it. Now I've added some drops of sour mist.
Yeah, scooch it over to the right just a tad.
Oh, sorry, I forgot it was zoomed in.
Michelle is here watching. She says, "Cool project." And Adam says, "Hello, Crafty Friends."
Adam!
And Shelly says, "You still can't talk right, huh?"
Shell Bell.
Yeah, Shelby.
I thought you said Michelle.
No.
I'm like, who's Michelle? Like,
Not Michelle.
Michelle. I'm like, who's Michelle? Miss Shell.
I mean, we do have Michelle Sadler here.
We do. I was like,
but no.
like, didn't we already say hi to him?
Shell.
Shelbel. Hola. All right. So we added these amazing, delicious colors of Cool Pool to the mix. If you decide, you know what, I can really use, because obviously look how beautiful my mermaid is going to come, and just add that layer onto there.
Miss Debbie Daniels and Carrie Urbash just joined us.
Hi, Carrie. Hi, Miss Debbie. So again, it's just preparing our mixed media background for just like this cool vibe. I'm just drawing my layers because I'm going to go a little cycle killer here in a minute. You're like more cycle killer?
Oh.
All right. So it looks pretty cool. You guys see that? Like, I just love all the layers, and I've enjoyed playing with tissue quite a bit. But I definitely want to bring some more of those, a little bit more of those pinks. And I definitely want a little bit more of our greens. So I'm gonna bring in, and it's still stuck to the bottom of that grid sheet. And I'm just gonna add a little bit of color here with a dauber.
Oh, Miss Patricia is here. She just woke up from a nap.
Ah, Patricia,
Ben's mom.
Ben's mom. So we're just gonna add a little bit more color.
More color. Nice.
And I'm just adding that color on with applique. And I'm gonna bring in more of that green. But this time with the sugar cube, so that I can create a nicer blend to the entire piece. And now I'm just gonna grab a wet wipe to create a little bit more of a smear. Like, I love how that just all beautifully comes together. And you can also even clean off your stencil onto that sheet. So I love the background. It's perfect and it's ready for us to work on. Okay, so we've got our background piece, check. And now we're gonna add it to a card base. So what I've chose Tangy Gum as my card base. I don't have my, oh, there was one. Scorched right here. We have Tangy Gum. And look how beautiful it looks on that Tangy Gum layer. Sorry, I'm a little off the grid here. Let me zoom out just a little bit so you guys can see the full shot. When in doubt.
Pop it out.
Now for this one, I'm going to use the larger roll because it's a little bit trickier. You know, we've worked so much different color into it, and so I'm looking for a little bit of a stronger hold from my foam squares. So I'm just gonna go ahead and grab these larger pieces. So that it stays flat on my surface. Beautiful. Now I'm gonna grab my mermaid, and she's going to come into her space under the sea. So pretty. And when in doubt, we're gonna pop out a few more pieces like the starfish.
So pretty. Love all those colors.
And this shell by her hair. Now you'll notice that I also cut out the words dive deep from the full sentiment. So we're going to actually stamp the full sentiment on the inside.
Ruby says hi. She just joined us.
Hi, Ruby. I'm actually going to place a double because I'm going to add some twine still. Dive deep. So cute. We're going to grab some white twine, some of our powdered sugar twine. We're going to do a double loop. And again, so many fun, different colors and layers. And wait till you see as it unfolds when we add our splatter. A little bit of liquid glue back there. Our splatter and our our dazzling pat. So amazing. And again, it's one of those sets that I just think is just perfect for a variety of different projects. We're going to grab our white paint. And then all we have to do is we simply just need to add a different layer on the inside. If you want to stamp the whole sentiment, you then have the opportunity to do that. So we're just going to grab some of that white splatter, and it just adds a little extra level of magic, I think, to this project. And of course, to finish it off, some beautiful dazzling pat. For that win.
Ruby, she's asking, you recently did a video using dinosaurs. What's the name of the digi? It is Lava You.
Lava You is the name of the digi for the dinosaurs. So check it out, guys. The beautiful layers, the scallop background. I love the white splattering over the project, even though we added little touches of black here and there. And of course, Dazzling Pat just creates a beautiful shimmer on our very own Little Mermaid. And again, on the inside, if you wanted to stamp the entire sentiment, you would just simply add a liner and then stamp that in. Dive deep for the treasure that you seek. But I added the dive deep right on the front.
Super cute. Gorgeous. Gorgeous card. Love it. Love it.
So guys, I hope that that wasn't too inky and too crazy. I hope that you've enjoyed that and that it's super fun opportunity for you guys to dive deep on your mixed media projects as you work some of those in. Especially in this case, we worked that project in on a Wednesday. So I hope that was inspirational. I hope that you guys go in and play with your media mixer, with your sugar drops, and just create different cool backgrounds that are going to bring paper to life in amazing ways. Any questions for me?
No, just awesome project.
Awesome. Well, thanks, guys, for joining us. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your week. And don't forget to catch us live also on our Facebook channel. Thanks for subscribing, and thanks for sharing this inspirational tutorial. We'll catch you guys next time. Adios.